Hi and welcome to another Cigar Box Guitar Blues short. I'm Sean from Coda Guitar, and today we're looking at the third in 5 short lessons on like techniques where we're using a slide to play sort of different key areas. And in this one we're looking at using hammer-ons and pull-offs with the slide. So just before we get into that, let's check that we're in tune. So G, low G, middle D, and high G. Okay, so hammer-ons and pull-offs, you just get a smoother sound basically. What happens when you pluck either with, I've got a thumb pick, but either a pick or fingers, you get quite a sort of strong initial like attack to the note, which then kind of like tails off, and so like hammer-ons and pull-offs are just slightly softer sounding because we're creating the second or several notes with the actual slide itself, as opposed to re-picking. So you just get a slightly different tone basically. So what we're doing in this first half is we're going to have to angle round with the slide, because I'm going to be fretting fret 5 to start with. I'm going to be fretting the low G, but I'm going to keep re-picking the D and the high G strings 2 and 1 with my fingers. So my thumb's going to be playing the slide note and my fingers are going to be plucking the open ones. So let's just get these pull-offs sorted to start with. So now, I said in a previous video where we can sometimes rest behind the slide to sort of dampen, to tidy up the sound, but it's actually better if we don't do that when we're doing these pull-offs. You just get like a stronger second note. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to just like flick off, and it's a bit of a funny one. You're trying to sort of almost ping the string a little bit, just so we get a slight attack on the second note that we pull off to. So I'm like doing this wrist movement. It's actually the elbow is actually moving the wrist there. So my fingers are staying pretty still, and it's that flicking motion there, combined with not being too flat, because we don't want to interfere with strings 2 and 1. So we're going to be doing that from fret 5 and also fret 3. So if you could just try that to start with. Fret 5, fret 3. And so the actual sequence is fret 5, and then the fingers are mostly playing in between what the thumb's doing, and then the second thumb is a quick pull off, and then the fingers again. So it's fret 5, thumb, fingers, thumb, pull off, fingers. Just repeat that from fret 3. Thumb, fingers, thumb, pull off, fingers. Back again. Thumb, thumb, pull off, fingers, thumb, pull off, fingers. Okay, Okay, so that's the kind of main bulk of this first loop, this first sort of groove. But instead of going down to fret 3, if we want to add a bit of variation in after we've played fret 5, I can go up to fret 10. I'm not going to pull off here, so I'm just going from fret 10 up to 12, and again trying not to catch strings 2 and 1 because I want to keep these open ones played. So when you play with 2 fingers together, we can sometimes call that a brush. So we're brushing all the way through with these 2 fingers playing simultaneously. So it's fret 10. Alright, so okay, so I'll put all that together. So I'm going to go from 5 to 3, 5, 10 to 12. Okay, so 3, 4. Fingers, pull off fingers, 3, pull off fingers, 5, pull off fingers, 10, 12. Let's do it again. Thumb, pull off fingers, 3, pull off fingers, 5, pull off fingers, 12. So it's the sort of little groove where once you've kind of got the mechanics of it down, so you've got the basic coordination and the sequence of thumb and finger picks, and also where you flick off, because you're creating a note with your fretting hand, your slide now, which is adding a different element into the mix, which can like make it all like break down a little bit to start with. But once you've got all of that down and you feel like you've got a bit of a flow to it, it's actually relatively easy to speed it up. But don't run before you can walk, as it were. Just like that tempo that I was like walking through at, keep that going, for like, depending on how confident you feel, keep it steady for quite a while. Okay, so what we're going to do for a bit of contrast is we're going to play something very similar, but on the high G instead of the low G. So what we were doing before is we were angled round at this sort of angle so that we weren't catching strings 2 and 1 with the slide. This time the slide's only on string 1, only on the high G, so you've got a different angle there. Try not to catch the actual frets underneath though, so just whatever's a comfortable angle, but we want to keep the middle D, low G open. So I'm going to just focus on what we're doing with the slide to start with. We'll put the thumb in a minute. So we're going to pluck the open G and hammer on. So just going to tap down onto fret 3 in this instance, and then flick off again, so it's that same wrist movement. So tap down right on top of fret 3 and flick off. So we've got 3 notes for like one picking hand pluck there. So middle finger, sorry that's a bit hard there, I'll do that again. So it's middle finger and then flick off. So you might want to practice that a little bit. But then what we're going to do, we're going to move up to fret 5 and we're going to play that, play the fretted fret 5 and pull off, middle finger, index finger on the middle D. And then the same trick, fret 7, pluck it and pull off, and then play the middle D. So we've got fret 5, fret 7, so all of that we've got the hammer on and the pull off, the trill, and then we've got 5, pull off, middle D, 7, middle D, 5, D, 7. Okay, so when we put the thumb back in, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to put in one index finger on the middle D just before we go up to we go up to frets 5 and 7. So we've got hammer on, so we've got a hammer on and a pull off. We can call that a trill. So it's together with your thumb, index finger on the middle string, and then middle finger, index, middle, index. So it's thumb, index, middle, index, middle, index, trill, thumb, index, middle, index, middle, index. Speed that up a little bit, and again, just for a bit of variation, instead of always going to frets 5 and 7, why don't we try it on fret 10? We'll do the pull off. So I'm not going to be resting on the string behind the slide, otherwise I'm kind of interfering with the pull off to the open string. So just the slide on fret 10, and then just play fret 12. Don't try and do a pull off or anything. So it's pull off on fret 10. So that would be trill, fret 10, 12. So I would definitely just try all of that at your own speed. It's quite fiddly, but all of it together would be do that again. So 2, 3, 4, trill, index, middle, index, middle, index, trill, index, middle, index. Okay, so we might want to, when we're piecing both of them together, it might be a little bit difficult to go quickly from fret 12 all the way down here, so we might just want to kind of tail off with the first one, maybe slow down a little bit, and then come back in at speed with the notes on string 1. So it might sound a bit like this: 2, 3, 4. Do that again. I'll just slow down. So 3, 4. Okay, so might be a little bit fiddly. I don't know how you find that. To be honest, it can be quite difficult to sort of control the sound when you're doing particularly hammer-ons. You know, some frets sound a little bit better than others. If you're not going to do a trill, you might actually find it better to try and come down with 2 fingers together, or rather the finger and the slide simultaneously, so that you kind of mute this thing that's going on behind. But it can be quite difficult to do that if you then want to pull off afterwards. So for this particular riff, it's probably better to just leave your index finger out of the way. Okay, so as with the others, dead slow to start with, about 70 BPM, I mean, try and play along with this video, but if you want to play it on your own, start at about 70, speed it up from there. So I hope you found that useful, and next one, number 4, next weekly short, we're going to be looking at how to change between straight driving rhythms, which this one was a straight rhythm, and swung, more sort of bluesy shuffle type rhythms, which obviously if you're into cigar box guitar, you're probably quite into blues. Loads of blues songs use like a shuffle rhythm, so really good to be able to play with that sort of rhythmical feel. So please subscribe if you like this content, and we'll see you here again soon on Coda Guitar.